Content disclaimer: the views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. Okay. Today, we're going to touch on something. First and foremost, today is October the 5th, 2023. It's October the 5th, 2023. And I want to touch on something. Hold on one second. Today is October 5th, and I want to touch on something. I think it's a very important topic, and I will be talking about it in my class on October the 28th. So make sure you sign up for the class. If you don't want to pay through Eventbrite, you can pay the early bird tickets right now through Cash App and PayPal. If you do Cash App or PayPal, you got to send me the email so I can send you the link to the actual class on the 28th. And if you can't make it to the class, guess what? You will still have the ability to watch the class. It will be yours because you made the early bird tickets is $44. After October the 10th, it will be $55, and that's it. So, and it's only a 3-hour class, but it's going to be a very 3 hours applicable class. And today, October 5th, is Bernie Mac's birthday. Today, the late great Bernie Mac's birthday is today. And today is also Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson's birthday is today. Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson's birthday is today. The brilliant scientist that's very comical and enjoys himself. Tomorrow's birthday is the elder. See if I always try to call him, but he hasn't been able to answer his phone. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if y'all remember Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's teacher, one of her professors and teachers' birthday is tomorrow, and his name is Neely Fuller, Professor Neely Fuller Jr. So that should be interesting. I'm gonna try to contact him because I have been trying to contact him every time. One time he did answer for his birthday, and I got his book. I was able to purchase his book called The Compendium. I forgot the compendium. I forgot the name. It was the compendium. No, the compensatory dictionary. So Neely Fuller's birthday is tomorrow, but today's birthday is Bernie Mac and the one, the only Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I had the opportunity of meeting years ago. So in this book, Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated, I have a relationship chapter, and that's chapter 8. And then I didn't quote, there's a quote that I came up with. It says, I have come to realize that the elements can work together on a higher level, but each element has a specific role. Each element has a specific role. That's what I wrote at the top of that chapter 8 in my book called Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. Oh, well, look what I found. A lecture that I was slated to do at Temple University, the flyer for that school. And there's something interesting. There's an interesting story behind what happened at Temple, why I was not able to do the lecture there, only because of one lady who didn't want to give us the larger room, only because she had some type of vendetta against what we were doing in the metaphysical world. So a lady who was born January 25th got my lecture shut down, and we had to move from Temple to a church, a metaphysics church in Philadelphia. But God bless that lady. She was born January 25th. And when I looked at it in numerology, because I'm born February 1st, although we're Aquarius, January is one of my challenge numbers being born under February. It's one of the challenging numbers because the predominant energy of January is the 8 energy, which is connected to Capricorn. And 8 is one of my challenge numbers being born February 1st, and number 1 and 8 are challenged. So, and then she's born January 25th. And if you add 2 plus 5 plus that 1, or 1 plus that 5 plus that 1, 1 plus 2 plus 5, you'll find that it breaks down to 8. So she became a challenge to me. And I swear to you, family, that when she told me her birthday, I said, oh, okay, she's a challenge number. In my head, I said she's a challenge number. So when she did refuse to give us the larger room because it was an overflow house that was coming, I had an overflow crowd of people. She didn't want to give us the larger room. So the methods of, and it's because of her religious background, and I knew what it was. I really knew what it was. And again, I wished her the best. We had the room aligned to do it, but it was a smaller room because the promoters did not expect people to come out in such big numbers. People came from Jersey, people came from New York, people came from Delaware. People came from Delaware to see me. And it was a free event. It's a free event, but people came out to see me teach that class. And there was only one person that could have stopped me. And that was a lady that was over Temple University. You can see Temple University, Pan-African Studies. That was a lady over that room. And she was working late that night. And you could tell, she had a lot going on with her. But she refused to give us the room due to her own religious values and her own religious stuff. And I was cool with that. But here we go. The word relationship. And in my book, I go into it. I go into what we call the relationship chronicles in my book. Numbers are simple relationship chronicles. And I say in my book, numbers have an attractive vibration like signs in the zodiac. And they also have a repelling vibration. Many years of observing signs in the zodiac and numbers have revealed that some are more harmonious with each other than others. Like fire signs such as Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius are considered compatible because they're ruled by the same natural element. Also, there are those signs and numbers that are unharmonious with others, only due to the nature of elements in this physical realm. It can be true that opposites attract in signs and numbers, but an unharmonious relationship can be the results of such attractions in life if individuals don't understand their roles. That's why I quoted, I said, I have come to realize that the elements can work together on a higher level, but each element has a specific role. So when you're dealing with relationship, man and woman, business or not, there is a role that the elements that are connected to you play. And sometimes you may have a boss that might be an earth sign, a water sign, or earth number, or water number, or air number, and because you're born under a element that might be a little opposite, and it would be considered opposition to that number or that sign, you might have little friction unless you learn how to navigate and be able to deal with what is called the elements of the zodiac and the elements of the numbers. So the methods of relating to people, if you notice, people, who uses it very well? Lloyd Strayhorn uses it well. He's a master on relating and using the methods of astronumerology and learning how to relate to everybody and just be good. Now, Lloyd don't tolerate no bull crap. I'll be honest. He's learned Aikido. He's learned certain forms of martial arts since he was young. He don't tolerate no disrespect. But if you definitely run into Lloyd, he is a very warm person. Lloyd Strayhorn, my brother, one of my teachers, and it was him that opened my mind to different things when it pertained to astrology and numerology, because his first love was astrology. His first love was astrology because that helped him to open up the conversation. And he said it before that he used to be a very shy kid, but he showed us how to open up he used astrology to open up the conversation. And then when he got numbers on top or with us alongside astrology, then he was able to show the magnificence of the combinations of numbers and how to work them. Now, you have people that act like assholes. There's no doubt about it. Some people are whole asses. I'll be honest with you, because Just because you're born under a sign or a number that you might connect with that person, and you might say, "Oh, she's a Scorpio. Oh, he's a Taurus. Oh, they could work together." Numbers are simple. People are complicated. Gets into that people can have compatible signs and compatible numbers, but because of what and how they was raised and what attitudes they picked up over the years from their parents or their family or whatever they went through, that can also damage your connection with the person that you may have encountered with for a reason. And I tell most of my clients, if one person is willing to do the work and the other one is not willing to do the work, then it won't work. Let me say that again. If one person is willing to do the work and the other one is not willing to do the work, then it won't work. I don't care how compatible your numbers or your sign is. Numerology, as far as I'm concerned, is not subjective, it's objective. Go look that up. What's subjective and what is objective? That's why I love when Star says he's the objective hater. He's objective. He studied Ayn Rand, who was born February 2nd. Big up to her. The theory of objectivity. So, from a numerovational perspective, I slowed down on doing relationship counseling or advising through the numbers because many of you are not serious about your relationship. And hey, I get it. I wasn't serious. I was in the nightclub doing my thing and I knew about the numbers, but I was still playing. I just knew who I can get if I understood their birthday and their numbers. I knew that. I already knew who I can get and who was easy and who's not. But when you're dealing with people that are constantly in that type of environment, because their mindset is all about getting the bag or doing this and all that kind of stuff, even though I may have been able to help that sister, or she may have been able to help me from a perspective, because her mind and my mind is into that and it's just about lust in the clubs, it won't work unless people step into the studies of these different metaphysics sciences with an holistic intentions of becoming one and molding each other's energy and elements together. It won't work, especially if you're trying to be on a higher level and then you go into a club, meet a dude, and all of a sudden he just want to F you. He just want to get you in that bed. Although he might be compatible with you, with your numbers and your sign. And many women have met men that they knew and they found out his side and then they start looking up and they start getting all googie eyed with it because, Aquarius and Libras work together or Scorpio and this work together. There's much more to it because in astrology, you got the houses and all kinds of the rising, you got the ascendant. In numbers, you got the elements and you got the high level of from my perspective, I realized that if you want to turn up the volume of any number, most numerologists won't say that. They'll put you right there in a box, and I don't like being in boxes. Because most of the numerologists out there are the European that have taken what they had, like Pythagoras. Pythagoras went, studied amongst the greater society of those that believed in that stuff and those who used it in their cultural environment, and then brought it back and became the father of such and such, and father of numbers. You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting that you may feel that you're compatible with something. And in numerology, your sign might be compatible, but your numbers might not work together. Your sign and your numbers might work together, but the name connected to the vibration of the numbers don't work together with the sign that you're dealing with, or the numbers that's how deep it can be. It can go just like that. It's like I've attracted baby mothers that were born under my challenging months, All of them were born under my challenge. All of my wives, the wives that I married, as a matter of fact, let's say the three women the two of them are my wife and one is a child's mother. Three of them was born on my opposition months. Now, I didn't understand that when I was dealing with them. I just understood, that numbers had a meaning and astrology does have a meaning. But three of them, and these three took me to child support. Those are the only three out of my 6 children, brothers. Those are the only three that took me to child support. And 3 of them are born under my challenge months. And they're born, one is connected to the number 3, the other one was connected to the number 3, and one of them was connected to the number 7. They're showing you something. But although 3 and 7 are favorable numbers in my chart, the opposition months, the challenge months of January, May, and October, there it is. Now I see. And then when I look back at it, I was like, God damn, I don't know what I should have studied this from before. But from a wise perspective of using these sciences, if I understood it, I could have navigated and related better with those people instead of being my hardcore, cold Aquarius number 1 self. Because when, people know that Aquarius in their most negative can be very cold hearted. And yeah, I used to be able to get that way real quick. I had to get that out of my life to be more warm and open. But it also comes from what I learned from my mother, my father's side, and how standoffish sometimes my mother can be with certain things and all that. How my father could be a little standoffish. So I pick up a lot of that. So just understand there are methods to the universal madness. There are methods to this universal madness. Let me say that again. There are methods to this universal madness. And it's not pseudo at all. When Europeans called what we did in Kemet and all that kind of stuff and throughout Africa pseudo, that means they did not understand it because they didn't comprehend what type of information they were seeing. They couldn't even speak the Kemetic languages. That's why they changed the words from this word to Egypt, or from that word to Phoenix, or from that word to pyramids. They didn't even understand the language, so they had to familiarize themselves, get what they can get, and change the language and change the whole structure of what the ancient ones was doing. And that's what they did. In honesty, if you get real. And like I said before, I was watching Ralph Ellis. He's an author, very good author, white guy. And he was on the show with Nepal. Big up to Nepal. Nepal is a good sister. One of Sanetta's second wife. Beautiful sister. She's born June the 10th. Interesting combination, that one too, with those two numbers, because Sanetta's born the 6th. But Sanetta's first wife is Cynthia, and she's born February 11th. 1 + 1 is 2, and 2 is a favorable number for the number 6. 10, which is a 1, is one of the challenge numbers to the number 6. That's why y'all see sometimes Sanetta and Nepal go through their stuff. Cent does too. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled now, because her alignment numbers are 4, and that could be a challenge to Sanetta's number, which is interesting. I know I'm talking about Sanetta, but I already studied that whole energy. So I see how it can work and how it might get challenging for somebody like him. And it's in my book. A lot of it is in my book, not about Sanetta, but in my 8th chapter of this book is called Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. You can order it on Amazon or go straight to my link tree. But there's a section that I go through all the connections with the numbers from brief paragraphs. But I just want to let you know, once you start seeing, like for instance, big up to my cousin. He did this picture, Ical Beckford. I put it back there yesterday, put it on the wall just to have some pictures on the wall. So Because there's a multitude of numbers just in the birthday and the name, if I want to see how your destiny numbers align with each other, then I would add the destiny number of both individuals. If I want to see how the year number adds up to each other, then I would add whatever 1967 came out to or whatever 1980 came out to, I add both of them together. There's methods. If I want to see how your personality will work together, then I add your personal numbers, or what they call personality numbers or personal numbers. I add the date that you were born to the other person's date that you're born. So I can see when you add or multiply, that's where you can see where the trajectory of the relationship can go. There's methods to this. I said add or multiply. A lot of people don't multiply. Multiply is exaggerated addition. So we keep it simple in the addition part of it instead of going to multiply. That's exaggerating the timeline even to another level when you start multiply. So if I multiplied, let's say, if I said I was dealing with somebody born on the 15th, what's so interesting about when you do 15 times 1, it's still, when you do 15 times 1, if I'm dealing with somebody born on the 15th and times 1, it still adds up to the number 15, which is a 6. Still adds up to a number 15, which is a 6. So again, it's a reminder when you add 15 times 1 equals 6. But when it adds up to 15 again, which would be more, if I'm dealing with a relationship with somebody born on the 15th, it has to be creative and I have to adapt to that person. But when I add 15 plus 1, that equals 16. So when I look at it from a holistic perspective, if I'm going to maintain a creative, adaptable thing with that person born on the 15th, because I'm born on the 1st, from a multiplication perspective, but if I do it with adding, it adds up to 16. That means with that same person, I have to be still assertive and creative with each other. We have to find balance with each other. That's the 1 and the 6. And then we have to do spiritual work together. See how I tell the story and what I found the solution in the numbers. And then there's a negative to that. If you're not planning and working together, of course it's going to be, because 16 is a number of fatality and it's a number of planning. If that person that's born on the 1st and the 15th don't plan and have a blueprint for what they want to do in their life, then it will become destructive. Because number 16, according to tarot and compound numerology, is the number of fatality if you don't plan what you're supposed to do. So a person born on the 1st and the 15th of the month coming together, they have to plan and lay out a blueprint from the beginning of their relationship. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I'm not new to this. And I get into it in this particular book. Every number that you can talk about and that's birthday relatable, I get into it. But I always tell people to look at it from a multiplicity of ways. If you read, it's just like adding the months and the months. Let's say you're dealing with somebody born October the 20th and you're born June the 7th. Add the months, add the days, add the years, add the results. Add the results. And then you can see and then look at the higher vibration of those particular results that comes out. And then you'll also see the crisscross of it. You can see the crisscross of the numbers too. So sometimes when I used to do relationships, and I don't do relationships right now, I stopped because, like I said earlier, some of us are not serious about relationships. Men in particular are not serious. I'm a different Numerovator. That's why I tell people I'm different when it comes to these numbers. Different. But Remember, in my 8-hour course, those that have ever taken my 8-hour course or purchased it, and you can still purchase that. If you just want to come to a live class for 3 hours, that's you. But if you want the 8-hour course, the 8-hour course goes into my BATH method, BATH. Looking beyond, B. Looking around, A. Seeing the trajectory of the number, that's T. And H, learning to hear the numbers. Listen to their vibration. Listen to what's going on. Why is it that we see 444? And what are you going to do with it, the trajectory of it? What are you going to see around it? And what are you going to look beyond it? BATH method. It's called my BATH method in my 8-hour class, my 8-hour raw class. And you can go to my link tree and actually purchase that. And if you can't do that through Eventbrite, then you could actually purchase my 8-hour class in increments. Pay part, finish it off, or 4 parts and finish it off, or 2 parts and finish it off. Because it is $444. And people say that's a steal. I mean, a lot of people say that's a steal. But you get to study what is in my head from my perspective, but I'm always going to tell you to connect it to your life and perspective, because it's just like Lloyd Strayhorn. Lloyd is born on the 16th, and I'm born on the 1st. And so he might gravitate more to things that are connected to the number 7, where I might gravitate to more things that are connected to the number 1. So he might gravitate. If you notice, Lloyd does his major shows on Monday and then Wednesday. Monday is connected to the number 7. The moon day is connected to the number 2 and 7. So that's one of his power numbers. Wednesday, he uses Wednesday because Wednesday is the day he was born. I use Wednesday because Wednesday was the day I was born. But you notice I do Wednesdays and Sunday. Sunday is connected to the number 1 energy. So you learn how to use methods and blend it all together. It's not hard. It's just have to be applied, and you have to be dedicated to understanding the craft of numbers. I mentioned 444 on my IG, so you can stop watching me and go on my recent thing about 444. I posted it up there. I posted a brief clip about 444. 444 deals with levels, both positive and negative. When you start seeing those numbers, and I'm going to teach about that in the class on October 28th. So if you want to sign up for the class, by all means, go and do so through my link tree. You can sign up for the class through my link tree /King Simon, the New Motivator. Sign up for the class. It's $44 before October 10th, $55 thereafter. The general admission is $55. So I'm going to go through a lot of different things, because remember, it's always levels to this stuff. When you start seeing triple numbers or quadruple numbers or singular numbers on a consistent basis, that is something that it's telling you from a mathematical perspective. And then what you need to do is connect it to your life at that time and where you need to go or what you need to stop doing, because every number has its positive and negative angles. Positive and negative angles.
Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed.
Did you ever wonder if your birth date holds information about your destiny? Why you keep seeing the same number or several numbers?
Welcome to Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. I am your host, King Simon. Numbers are not here to control you, they're here to give you guidance. It's time for you to be able to read the numbers.
Hey, this is King Simon. Remember, make sure you go to my website, kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com, or Linktree at King Simon the Numerovator. Get all 4 of my books, and of course, that's the Numerovation for Mental Stability. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numbers are simple, children's health is important, and no promotion is bad promotion. Just spell my name right. Make sure you get them now on all my links. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. Go now.
It's the Numerovational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Let's go. Let's go.